Hi, and welcome to today's TOEFL speaking lesson from bestmytest.com. This video is part 1 of a 2-part lesson in which we talk about food to prepare for TOEFL Independent Speaking. The topic of food often comes up in the TOEFL Independent Speaking Task 1 and 2 questions. In Speaking Task 1, you might be asked questions about what you like to eat, your favorite restaurants, or a popular dish in your country. In Speaking Task 2, you might be asked for your preference between eating at restaurants and eating at home, or your opinion on food-related topics such as healthy eating. In this video, we will only focus on food-related Speaking Task 1 questions. So, let's get started. Our first question today is, where do you most like to go to eat out? Describe the place and say why you like it most. Okay, for this question, you can first talk about where the restaurant is. Here are 3 useful patterns you could use. The restaurant is just around the corner from. The restaurant is in walking distance of. The restaurant is situated on street near. For example, my favorite restaurant is an Italian restaurant. It is just around the corner from where I live. My favorite restaurant is a French restaurant. It is in walking distance of the university. My favorite restaurant is a Chinese restaurant. It is situated on China Street in the old city center. Next, you can talk about what kind of food it serves. For example, you could say, this restaurant serves various meals of Italian cuisine that I enjoy. For example, they serve delicious pasta, pizza, and tomato soup. This restaurant serves various meals of Chinese cuisine that I enjoy. For example, they serve dumplings, noodles, and pork soup. A word which you should keep in your mind here is cuisine. Cuisine means a specific cooking style based on different cultures, regions, and traditions. Here are more example sentences for the word cuisine. Cheese is a characteristic of Italian cuisine. To make Italian cuisine, for example, you will need to chop garlic, roll out pasta dough, and have simmer pots of tomato sauce. Okay. Next, you can talk about the reasons why you like dining there. Let's brainstorm for some reasons. For example, it is a great place for having a get-together. It is the kind of place you would take someone if you wanted to wine and dine them. It offers great service, tasty dishes, and a good dining experience at a lower price. It offers gourmet meals and has a selection of delicious meat dishes. It is cheap and offers slap-up meals. I'm always full by the end. It has delicious desserts. Since I have a quite sweet tooth, I like going there. Notice I use the phrase to wine and dine. To wine and dine means to entertain someone by treating them to food and drink. I also use the adjective gourmet. Gourmet is used to describe a restaurant, a cuisine, or a meal that is of high quality or of special presentation. Also, I used slap-up meal. A slap-up meal means a meal is especially large and good. Finally, to have a quite sweet tooth means to like eating sugary foods. Alright, let's listen to a sample response using everything you've just learned.
My favorite restaurant is an Italian restaurant just around the corner from where I live. This restaurant serves various meals of Italian cuisine that I enjoy. For example, it serves delicious pasta, pizza, and tomato soup. I like to dine there for a number of reasons. First, it is a great place for having a get-together. I usually go there with my friends for a slap-up meal when we have something to celebrate. I enjoy catching up with them over a leisurely meal together. Second, it offers great service, tasty dishes, and a good dining experience at a lower price. Their pizza and pasta dishes are delicious. Besides, I have quite a sweet tooth, so I always look forward to their desserts. Overall, this restaurant is a great dining experience.
Okay, now let's look at another Speaking Task 1 question. What is your favorite kind of food? Describe it and explain why it is your favorite. This is a very common question. To answer this question, you can talk about the flavor and the texture of your favorite type of food. The word flavor means the particular taste of a food. The adjective form is flavorful. It means rich in flavor or tasty. The word texture refers to the way a food feels when you touch it or eat it. So what are adjectives you can use to describe different flavors of food? You can use sweet to describe food that has sugary flavor, such as cake, ice cream, and chocolate. Salty to describe food that tastes of salt. For example, this popcorn is very salty. It makes my lips burn. Savory to describe foods that are rich in spicy and salty flavors without being sweet. For example, lasagna, stew, salmon, hamburgers, and French fries can all be described as savory dishes. Bitter to describe food that has a strong and sometimes unpleasant flavor that is the opposite of sweet. For example, coffee, very dark chocolate, beer, and citrus peels are all bitter. Sour or tart to describe foods that have a sharp and acidic taste. We use the word sour. Sour can also be used to describe things that have gone bad. So sour often sounds rather negative. Instead of sour, you can refer to sour foods as tart, which doesn't have this negative meaning. For example, lemon, white wine, Greek yogurt, and pickles are all tart foods. Spicy and hot to describe food that makes one's mouth burn from, for example, strong chilies. You can, for example, say Indian curry is often very spicy. Hot can be used to describe spicy food as well, or food that has a very high temperature. Smoky to describe food that tastes like smoked wood. Bacon, whiskey, and smoked salmon are all smoky foods. Okay, so far we have been talking about adjectives for describing the flavor of food. Let's learn some adjectives you can use to describe a texture of food. Here is a list of them. Creamy. Creamy foods are smooth, soft, and thick, while they are often made with milk or cream. They don't need to be. Avocados, ice cream, macaroni and cheese, yogurt, and melted chocolate are all creamy foods. Crumbly. Crumbly describes food that falls apart into small pieces when you eat or break it. For example, I like to put crumbly cheese like gorgonzola and feta into my salad. Crunchy. Crunchy foods have a hard texture and make a loud sound when chewed. Potato chips, nuts, biscotti, raw carrots, and the skin of fried chicken are all crunchy foods. Greasy. Greasy food tastes very oily and usually leaves oil behind. For example, this pizza is so greasy that my entire plate is covered in oil. Gooey. Gooey describes foods that are wet and sticky, often in a positive way. For example, Sam loves gooey fudge sauce on top of her ice cream. Moist. Moist describes foods that are slightly wet and soft. For instance, Emily makes a delicious and moist chocolate cake. Mushy. Mushy also describes food that are soft and wet, but usually it is used for food that is not meant to be soft. For example, all the apples have gone mushy. They must be old. Okay, I know these are a lot of words for you to learn, but learning these words will not only help you prepare for food-related TOEFL speaking questions, but also help you get more comfortable talking about food once you study or live abroad. So it is worth it. Okay, now let's listen to some sample responses using the words we learned.
I like all different types of food, but my favorite type of food is Italian food, pasta. I really like all sorts of pasta, spaghetti, gnocchi, fettuccine, lasagna. I like it because it is really tasty and you can combine different pasta with different sauces and get really good combinations. Besides, I come from a family with Italian origins. My mother was Italian from Torino and she was a great cook. Every weekend she would cook spaghetti for the whole family and everyone would be delighted. Those big family meetings around Granny's pasta were really lively and fun. I will never forget them.
My favorite type of food is Chinese cuisine. I like it because it's bold and savory flavors and great taste. There are many tasty Chinese dishes such as beef noodles, fried rice, sweet and sour pork, wontons, and dumplings. They all have flavorful tastes. One dish I particularly like is spicy fried chicken. The crunchy taste is amazing, and and I will never get bored of it. Another reason I like Chinese cuisine is I have been eating it since my childhood, and I'm fond of it. I've been to many countries, and I've tried many things, but still I consider Chinese food to be my favorite food. So, for these two reasons, my favorite type of food is Chinese food.
Okay, we are almost done with today's lesson. The last section of today's lesson is learning phrases for talking about your eating habits. Sometimes you might be asked to describe your eating habits. For example, a question like this. Some people eat quickly and do not choose their food carefully. Other people eat slowly and choose their food carefully. What are your eating habits? Describe them and explain how your eating habits fit your lifestyle. For this question, you can use the following phrases and words to describe your eating habits. A fussy eater. Somebody who has their own very high standards about what to eat. Have a quick snack. To eat a small amount of food between meals. To work up an appetite. To do physical work that leads to you becoming hungry. To grab a bite to eat. To eat something quickly when you are in a rush. To eat like a horse. To eat a lot. Now, let's listen to a sample response using these phrases.
I'm not a fussy eater at all. Actually, I eat like a horse. I do a lot of sports and work up quite an appetite. Most of the time, I eat ready meals and takeaways. We have our main meal around 7. I'm usually starving by then. In fact, I often grab a bite to eat as soon as I get home from college. A sandwich perhaps, but not too much to spoil my appetite.
Okay, this is the end of today's video. Let's recap the vocabulary we learned today. Cuisine means a specific cooking style based on different cultures, regions, and traditions. Gourmet can describe a restaurant, a cuisine, or a meal that is of high standards or a special presentation. A slap-up meal means the meal is especially large and good. Flavor means a particular taste of a food. Flavorful means rich in flavor or tasty. Texture refers to the way a food feels when you touch or eat it. To describe the flavor of food, we can use sweet, salty, savory, hot or spicy, sour or tart, bitter, and smoky. To describe the texture of food, we can use creamy, crumbly, crunchy, greasy, gooey, moist, and mushy. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you want to practice more TOEFL speaking questions, go to our website www.bestmytest.com. As usual, if you have more questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. And don't forget to give our video a thumbs up. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. This is Joe from bestmytest.com.